You guys remember how I've talked before about how New York Democrats are terrible? I'm sure I covered this, though I don't specifically remember. Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, terrible. He's a Democrat. He's terrible. He might as well be a Republican. You know, I know, Democrat in name only. Bad person, horrible. He had a town hall recently in the what do you degenerate New Yorkers refer to this as? Upper West Side, you pretentious goddamn East Coast elitists, in which he had some choice words for the powerful vultures who are sucking the blood from the American taxpayer, migrants. Remember, as you hear all this, that this man is ostensibly a Democrat.
And we turned this city around in 20 months. And then what happened? Started with a madman down in Texas decided he wanted to bus people up to New York City.
That's a reference to Governor Greg Abbott, the when he started sending busloads of migrants everywhere.
110,000 migrants. We have to feed, clothe, house, educate the children, wash their laundry sheets, give them everything they need, health care. And this team here, we stated, let's do everything possible before we have to push it out into neighborhoods and communities. Month after month, I stood up and I said, this is going to come to a neighborhood near you.
Essentially, he is angry at the Biden administration for not providing federal aid to help New York City with the, I believe, around 100,000 migrants that have come to New York City over the past year or so. Now, you might notice in this that he doesn't actually explain what they're doing to harm the city, but he full-on talks about, like, New York has fallen. He is full-on doing the, like, Chud Jack, New York has fallen, billions must have less pretentious opinions on shoe wear, over seemingly nothing. He says you have to provide all these migrants health care. I was not aware that migrants... What are you referring to? You mean like emergency services?
Well, we're here. We're here. We're getting no support on this national crisis, and we're receiving no support. And let me tell you something, New Yorkers. Never in my life have I had a problem. We're getting not see an ending to. I don't see an ending to this. I don't see an ending to this.
Imagine, okay, you need to understand how weird this messaging is. How often does a politician get up there and just say, a Democrat, mind you, hey, our city is being destroyed by migrants, and I don't see any solution. It's over. What are you talking about? Are you insane? No politician talks like this under any circumstances. Like, even like the crazy far-right politicians are like, but I have a plan. But no, he's just like, nope, sorry, we're f***ed. It's so over. It's bros, it's dog. It's so over, man. It's over. It's the end of days. I'm sorry. We have migrants in New York City, New York City, famously not a city built on immigration. All right? Has New York City ever survived a wave of poor immigrants? We don't know. Is such a thing even imaginable? If I could get some data on this, on what cost the city is incurring, then I will look at it. I will try to look at it. But the problem here is that New York City is already crumbling like shit, and they already spend $15 bajillion on their police. So I'm not liable to believe any claims that Mayor Adams makes about the city. And this rhetoric would be inexcusable under any circumstances. There are plenty of cities that are running a deficit right now. The mayors do not get up there on an Upper West Side town hall meeting to talk about how it's so over. Why would you do this? Do you have any idea what it does to a city's political culture and climate and housing prices and everything for a mayor, especially a mayor of a city like New York City, to go up there and say, it's so over, bros? What does that mean?
This issue will destroy New York City.
Look at this.
Destroy New York City. We're getting 10,000 migrants a month. One time we were just in Venezuela. Now we're getting Ecuador. Now we're getting Russian-speaking coming through Mexico. Now we're getting Western Africa. Now we're getting people from all over the globe have made their minds up that they're going to come through the southern part of the border and come into New York City. And everyone is saying it's New York City's problem. Every community in this city is going to be impacted. We got a $12 billion deficit that we're going to have to cut every service in this city.
That's a lie, by the way. He says $12 billion deficit. What he actually means is that over the next 3 years, he claims it'll take $12 billion to pay for the asylum seekers in New York City. Now, I genuinely want to know why. When asylum seekers, even let's say just full-on illegal immigrants, let's just say they're full-on illegal. They're not even doing like the migrant process. They're just full-on illegal. What costs? They have to work, right? Like they don't, it's not like New York City has some special all expenses paid welfare program that everyone in the city just gets free money. That's not how it works. What costs? They have to work and they spend money in the city? What are we talking about here? I genuinely want to know where this cost is coming from. I'm not saying there's no cost. There is a cost. Taking in migrants is difficult and expensive work at times. What's the cost? I want to know. He says 12 billion here. He means 12 billion over 3 years. And even that's just an estimate from his mind? Did he get that from data? Or did he just say that? Adams says the city estimates spending 4.7 billion this year if it does not receive proper support. City figures shows it spends $383 per night on each household and is now caring for 57,000 people, adding up to 9.8 million per day. 57,000 people in what capacity? Like what are they doing to care for them? Also, on each household is not the same as per people. So I don't know how that works exactly. For the record, in June, illegal border crossing numbers fell to the lowest levels in over 2 years in June. Right. Housing, food, language, education, I suppose. The state provides for that? I'm sorry, maybe I'm not aware of the extent to which the city of New York does for I wasn't aware the city of New York would give you free language classes if you just showed up one day as an illegal immigrant. I wasn't aware that was something they offered. Like free housing? You mean shelters? Are we complaining that the shelters cost that much? This is an older story. Mayor Adams gave illegal migrants 60 days notice. Migrants into shelters 60 days to find new housing. The city will assign caseworkers to each illegal alien to help them explore their housing options and take the next step in their journey. If the adults are not able to find housing, they will have to return to the city's intake center and reapply for housing. However, it's unclear what would happen if there was not housing available at the intake centers. Then they would be homeless. That's what happens to lots of Americans. Last week, over a dozen Venezuelan migrants created their own mini tent city under the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway after being ejected from one of the city's largest centers for fighting. The encampment is 3 tents, a huge tarp, and multiple mattresses clammed between rows of parked vehicles. It lies just a few feet away from the construction of a new massive shelter on Hall Street that is designed to hold roughly 2,000 single adult migrants. I'm sorry, is this shelter... What is the framing in this... Wait, hold on. What website am I on? Our mission. Examine immigration trends and educate American people on the impact of sustained high-volume immigration. Dude, if you look up anything that Eric Adams has said, immigration, all of the results are far-right websites. Literally, look at this. Daily Mail, Newsweek, New York Post, National Review, New York Post again. There's ABC, Newsweek, Wall Street Journal, Axios, Federation for American Immigration Reform. This dude is like a psyop. He's like planted opposition. He's a goddamn asset to the right. I don't think the shelter is built to hold single adult migrants. I think the shelter is built to hold single adult people. I think it's just a shelter. Like that's what a shelter is. If the cost is just the shelters are being used, how is that the migrants' fault? It sounds like the costs involved here are just the migrants are using facilities that were built for migrants and homeless people. Unironically, he might be a plant, either that or just a Clintonite. I think he's just a Clintonite. I really hope, look at this ticker at the top. Illegal border crossings today. And then you have like a fake number that ticks up randomly because they can't actually know, obviously. Oh, there it is. Just went up again. Just fake number, you know. I just hope everyone watching understands how psychotic it is for a mayor to literally just go up there and say it's over. Like, this city is done. and I don't see a solution.
is going to be impacted. All of us. And so I say to you, as I turn it over to you, this is some of the most educated, some of the most knowledgeable, probably more of my commissioners and deputy commissioners and chiefs live in this community. So as you ask me a question about migrants, tell me what role you played. How many of you organized to stop what they're doing to us? How many of you were part of the movement to say, we're seeing what this mayor is trying to do, and they're destroying New York City? It's going to come to your neighborhoods. All of us are going to be impacted by this. I said it last year when we had 15,000, and I'm telling you now with 110,000. The city we knew, we're about to lose.
Like, it's insane. We're going to lose the city. It's over. There's no solution. They're coming for all of us. And the right-wing media is completely running with this, by the way, because in the right-wing media imagination, New York City is like this super ultra mega liberal leadership when Eric Adams is functionally Republican. And he is just playing into everything. Now, please keep in mind that when we're talking about the numbers involved here, the budget for New York City is over $100 billion. The police budget alone is nearly $6 billion. We're talking about a city that potentially has an ungodly amount of money at its disposal. Now, they are currently running a deficit. That is true. Though I think, it doesn't exactly take a communist to look at the way they spend their money and identify some better places it could be spent. But I genuinely want to know, what are these migrants costing New York City? They do cost something. That's sure. That's I get that. That's fine. All right. But, if they're using these shelters, are they seriously getting English language education for free? If they are, that might actually be a good investment depending on the exact circumstances. But if there just aren't enough beds in the city, if there just flatly are not enough beds in the city for them to be there, here's my hardline position, okay? Guys, I'm fully in favor of money being directed towards the humane acceptance and habitation of migrants. I am clearly okay with that. That's in line with my politics. But if there aren't enough beds to accommodate all the people who are coming in, then yeah, you have to make the tough move and move them elsewhere. There are plenty of places in the United States that you can live that are not New York City. If the concern is that at the current rate of intake, because New York City is such a famous city, a ton of people are going to go there if they're in the U.S. illegally. If the current concern is they are going to keep coming and we will never be able to build enough shelter space or enough affordable housing to accommodate them, it's just not possible, then yes, you have to direct them elsewhere. And that is doable. That's not an impossible feat. That's something that you can do. It's harsh. It's not great. I don't like that as a solution. But if it's necessary to redirect and distribute the, migrant population you're receiving, then go for that. Don't whine that the city is over. Don't complain that the city is dead and buried and it's all over and 100 billion must perish because what? I want to know what the actual figures are. I want to know what the actual numbers are. I do not believe this $12 billion over 3-year deficit a bit. I don't believe it even a little bit. In fact, I bet you that what he's doing is he's taking in the costs of all of these associated social services, ones that existed previously and ones that benefit not just migrants, and he's saying, oh, okay, well, actually, now that the migrants are using it, we're saying it's going to cost us this much, If the yearly expenditure is around $4 billion, how much does New York City even spend year per year on those city services? Hold on. New York City budget shelters. Do they have this number listed separately? In 2021, spending by the Department of Homeless Services, or the DHS, that's a very confusing acronym, topped $3 billion. Triple the agency's spending a decade ago when the number of households in shelter was about 2/3 what it was in 2021. Dude, I bet you anything that he's just using that number. I bet you that he is. I bet you that he is taking all of these costs and social services that are associated with migrancy or with poor people, and he's folding them all in and just going yeah, that's what it costs us, when these costs existed beforehand. Now, I don't know that for sure, I would need to see him prove his numbers. But when is a fear-mongering politician ever come out there with the facts, you know? When is a piece of shit like Eric Adams ever gone, okay, well, here is my very specific economic breakdown of exactly what this is costing the city, as opposed to this just like standing up in front of a town hall and whining about how it's all over, you know? I don't think we're going to get that data. This is from earlier this year. Randall's Island migrant shelter to cost New York City taxpayers $20 million a month or $10K for every migrant source. House migrants in Randall's Island, according to a state source, or $10,000 per asylum seeker if the site fills all of its 2,000 beds. Okay, holy shit. Oh my god. Okay, let me just say this real nice and slow so everyone in the back seats can hear me, okay? The only reason you would build a migrant shelter on an island is because you're so terrified of these people interacting with regular Americans that you feel the need to separate them via a bridge and a channel. Why would you put what is supposed to be infrastructure for poor, desperate people on expensive, high-class... Yeah, no shit it's going to be expensive if you're putting them over here on a island. Yeah, let's have a reasonable assessment of the budget expenditures associated with migrancy by building them a shelter on the moon. Oh, you know, to keep them away from the normies. Well, what are you doing? Why? You should be building these shelters out of the city center. And you know for a fact the conditions here are dog shit, by the way. The only reason they built it here is I guarantee you the reason they built it here is because New York City NIMBYs did not want a big, like, dense building being built in anywhere near where they live, full of migrants. So they were like, okay, well, where do we put the smelly migrants then? Oh, I know. We'll put them on the island. Are you kidding me? Yeah, no shit this is expensive. Yeah, of course. There's a bridge that connects to the... Yeah. Oh my god. And the only way for any of these migrants to go to the city would be to hitch a ride on a car or transit because they can't walk there because they're on an island. No wonder. Okay, well, you know what? If this is where New York City's money is being spent, then you know what? They're right. It is over. It is over. Yeah. If you feel the need to build a biodome to contain the smelly immigrants that you don't want in New York City of all places. New York City, the city, is just a giant smelly immigrant of a city. That's the whole point of New York City, is to be the immigrant city. That was what it was. That's what it is now. That's always been what it's been. Oh my god. Okay, whatever, dude. It's over. New Yorkers, dude. Literally all of them for voting for Eric Adams. What were the results of that election? He won 67 to 27.8. Versus Curtis Sliwa. Wait, haven't we looked at this guy before? Wait, was this the guy that Chew on Head liked? Okay, what about the Democratic primaries? Because Eric Adams won the general handily. Wait, hold on. Why are these numbers so low? 2021 New York City mayoral election. Popular vote. 753,000 to 312,000. What? That's like 1 million people altogether in New York City. No one votes in local elections. This is anomalously low. Yeah, okay. The election in Los Angeles came to about 1 million as well, but Los Angeles has way fewer people than New York City does. The city of Los Angeles does not have as many people as New York, not even close. COVID? They could vote. This was a record low. So what you're telling me is that nobody wanted Eric Adams. Like the Democrats, like nobody was excited about him. Yeesh. And now we see what happens, huh? Now we see the outcome. What about the Democratic primary? The New York City 2021 Democratic primary. Oh, wow. I forgot how close this was. Holy shit. He won with 50.4 to 49.6. Ranked choice voting, y'all? Yeah, it's ranked choice voting. New York City primaries. Ridiculous. Like the same number of people voted in the Democratic primary as they did in the general. That's so weird. It's because it's all the Democrats like gave up after Eric Adams won because they didn't give a shit anymore. As a Canadian, could you clarify? City of Los Angeles population. 3.8 million. And it's been going down lately too. New York City population. 8.46 million. Oh yeah, well it compares to Los Angeles right here. In Google's arbitrary determination. LA County has a huge population, but the city of Los Angeles less so. So yeah, despite having basically the same number of people who voted in the general, New York City's city population is more than double Los Angeles's. So like what the What's wrong with New Yorkers? Yeah, what the fuck? It's like 1 in 4 voters participate versus 1 in 8 voters participate. What the fuck? Too busy with your Tims? What are you doing? Too busy inventing new forms of streetwear? What are you doing? Obviously, not all of us voted for him, Vosh. None of you voted. The total, it was like 650,000 people voted in a population of 8.4 million. Nobody voted. It just happened. Oh my God. The Bronx had only 15% turnout, Vosh. Insane. Yeah, literally, what the I know more of you, like, left-leaning people are there than that. Jesus Christ. New York City needs to import Midwest Dems. Unironically, yeah. Literally, yes. No one wanted Eric Adams. The primary that election cycle was a mess with numerous popular candidates facing scandals that ultimately affected their popularity. Yeah, but we also have to acknowledge that this is anomalous, right? Like, Eric Adams sucks, and nobody voted in the Dem primaries. I'm so mad at you guys right now. I'm so angry at you New Yorkers for not voting. I really hope that when the next mayoral election comes around, you guys, like, wake the fuck up and participate. Yang probably would have been better than him, and I'm not joking when I say that. At least that would have been a fun wild card as opposed to dino shit. Yeah, Maya Wiley was the better option by far, wasn't she? New York City turnout was 24% in 2013, 23% in 2017, 21% in 2021, so it's only getting worse. Ugh. Unfortunately, New Yorkers assume a progressive candidate will win, so many don't vote. Yeah, that's because a lot of New Yorkers have bought into the conservative narrative that your state and city are respective bastions of, like, liberal progressive thought. They're not. It's like the people who make the mistake of thinking that California is, like, solidly blue. No, California is enormously populous and large, yes, and on average it's blue, but a huge swath of California is red, and there are lots of red representatives that come out of it. Like, you can't write that shit off, you know? Like, we have to be vigilant here, okay? If the Republicans have done more to bring New York City to heel than we have Texas. If we did as much work in Texas as they have in New York, then Texas would be a swing state. Texas would be a swing state. It would be Blexus. More people voted Republican in California than in Texas, and more people in Texas voted Dem than in California. That's... I think you mean more people voted Republican in California than Democrat in Texas, and vice versa, because otherwise your statement would be nonsensical. New Yorkers who actually live here know this place is socially liberal but ruined by neoliberals. Yeah, but they can do more. I'm sorry, I'm not buying the shit. I'm not buying the, like, well, there aren't any good options open, when there were better options open in the Democratic primary and nobody turned up to vote. I mean, I understand, and I know the Dems have failed New York City and state. I get that, but, like, holy shit, man, there has to be a limit to that logic, right? Like, at some point, it's just like voter turnout. Also, it aligns with my bias against New Yorkers, because as a West Coaster, I have to make fun of East Coasters, and New Yorkers are very easy to make fun of. So, you know, compulsory voting law now. It'll never happen because that would make it like a blue country forever.